hi, hello, my name is dis.cat. This is Project Hardcover, where we're letting books be the escape. Hello, lovelies, and holy crap! Do you see this? My window isn't fugly anymore. Yeah, so now you guys know that I'm 21 Pilots trash and proud. So proud. But anywho, main point of this video, today is the day, it is that time of year, it is time for me to discuss my top books of the year. That's right, this is my top 15 of 2015 book video. This will also be the last year that I am doing the kitschy 15 of 2015, 16 of 2016 stuff. There will be no 16 of 2016. Trying to talk about 16 books in one video is just too much, people. It's too much. Too mas. I also had to split these videos into two. There will be a top 15 books of 2015 video. There will also be a top 15 graphic novels of 2015 video, because if I had tried to merge those things together, the world probably would have imploded. But enough. You guys want to hear about the greatest books that I read this year, which was difficult to narrow down because I read so many amazing books this year. So, yeah, this list was a pain to make, but I finally did it. I finally got it down to 15, and now I'm going to tell you what those 15 books are. So let's just hurry up and get started. Coming in at number 15, we have Mosquitoland by David Arnold. Yes, this is one of the books that made it onto my most anticipated releases of 2015 video, and it did not disappoint. This book was beautiful. The writing was stunning. It was stunning. The character was so snarky and sarcastic and relatable, and she was just, it was so much fun following her story. Her story was incredibly relatable, and it was just so impactful, and just, I loved this book. This book was beautiful. I don't know why this book isn't as hyped as it should be, because it really should be far more hyped than it is. Coming in at number 14 on my list is The Prince's Gambit by cat, which is the second book in the Captive Prince trilogy. Yes, so I saw my friend here on BookTube, Ivan from Sona Azra, I will leave a link to his channel down below, read the first book in this trilogy, which was Captive Prince, sometime in 2015, and I became very intrigued. So I picked up the first book in this trilogy, and it was okay. But then I picked up the second book, and oh my god, the second book was so much better than the first book. It was far more fast-paced, there was way more political intrigue, and oh my god, that slow burn sexual tension was ridiculous. It was like crack. It was like grade A crack. So yeah, the second book definitely just blew me away. The first one was whatever, but the second book, so good, and now I cannot wait for the third one. Like, I need the third one in my life, like, right now. Book number 13, I actually do physically own, and it is The Theory of Everything by Kari Luna. So this is a book that I have had in my possession for the longest time. I'm talking about like 2 to 3 years this thing has been collecting dust on my shelf. So finally this year, I decided to read it, and oh my god, it was great. So you know how you're on Goodreads and the descriptions and blurbs on Goodreads tell you, oh, this book is like this book mixed with this book, and then you read the book and it's not at all like that? Yeah, that is not the case for this. This book was pitched to me as being incredibly similar to Going Bovine by Libba Bray, which is one of my all-time favorite books ever, but with more string theory, and oh my god, that is exactly what this is. This book was so quirky and so fun, and the plot was just, it was incredible. It was an amazing, fantastic ride, but the characters were also just so adorable and fun and funny and relatable. And the story is very touching, incredibly touching. It deals so much with how you view yourself and how to view yourself while other people are also viewing you. Like how to deal with those conflicting views of when these people see you this certain way, but you see yourself a different way, which was wonderful. Just, this book was great. It is now one of my all-time favorite books. It was just so good, and I have not heard anyone talk about this book, and that is a travesty. People need to talk about this book because it was fantastic. Book number 12 on this list I also physically own, and that book is The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chinani, which is the first book for the School of Good and Evil trilogy. So we have yet another book that I read because my friend here, Sona Azra / Ivan, recommended it to me. Just Ivan did good things for my reading year. Thanks, Ivan. So yes, for Booktubeathon 2015, one of our challenges was to read someone else's favorite book, and while this isn't Ivan's favorite book, it's one of his favorite books. So I decided to read it, and it was awesome! Now, I am not a person who likes to delve into the world of middle grade very often, mostly just because I feel like I will not give it the chance it deserves. I feel like I'm too old to properly enjoy it. But I really wanted to give this one a chance because it was so important to Ivan, and he really talked it up a lot, and I'm so glad I did. First off, this book is very not middle grade. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm reading middle grade. It feels like I'm reading a young adult fiction novel, which, surprisingly, yeah, there is, like, a pretty big difference between the tones of those two genres. But this one definitely felt more like young adult. And two, this book tackled some really heavy, very important issues that, you know, not even young adult books, I don't feel, are doing a very good job of as of late, but this one tackled these problems, and not only did they tackled them very well. And that is just so important, and just, oh my god. The story was also just incredibly engaging. I always felt like I knew where it was gonna go, and then it would totally just like smack me in the face and be like, no, you have no idea where this is going. Stop trying to figure me out. The characters were so much fun. Like, seriously, their banter and their interaction was fantastic. I could have read just a complete book of just them two going back and forth, and I would have been happy. This book was fantastic. Book number 11 on this list I don't physically own, sadly, and that book is Two Boys Kissing by David Levithan. Let me preface this by saying that this was one of those David Levithan books that I was for sure positive was gonna be a miss. I don't know, David Levithan is just one of those authors where his books are either a hit or a miss for me, and apparently that's a pretty good consensus. A lot of people feel that his books are hit or miss, and I was almost positive that this book was gonna be a miss. But oh my god, this book was such a hit! Oh, like, I'm still feeling the feels from this book. And I'm telling you right now, if it wasn't for the way that he approached this book, it would have been a complete miss. Because the whole premise of this book isn't incredibly astounding. It's nothing original, it's nothing unique, except for the way it is done, the way it is executed. And for those of you who have read the book, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who have not, I'm not going to spoil it for you, because the minute you start reading it, you realize what's going on, and it instantly latches onto your soul and starts tearing it away. It just starts, and it's just, it hurts so good. Like, for real, this book had me near tears countless times because of how beautiful it was, and it was just, it was a surprise. It completely knocked me off my feet, and I totally recommend it to literally anyone who has the capability of reading in any way, shape, or form. You need to read this book. Book number 10 on my list, I also physically own, and it is Standoff by Andrew Smith, which is the sequel to Winger, also by Andrew Smith. So this was one of my most anticipated reads for 2015, and it did not let me down. So for those of you who watched my top 14 of 2014 video, you know that Winger was like my number 4 or number 5 book of the year, and it's like my number 4 like best contemporary novel of all time. So when I heard that we were getting a sequel, not a companion novel, not some book from a different character's point of view, an actual full-blown sequel, I was so excited. And I had every right to be, because this was perfect. This is exactly what I wanted this book to be. I know a lot of people had problems with it because it wasn't as funny or as light and humorous as the first book, but for those of you who read the first book and know what happens in the first book, this book shouldn't have been light and fun and funny. No, this book was exactly what it needed to be. It was incredibly emotional, and it dealt with grief and loss and, you know, dealing with growing up and having no idea what you want to do with your life, and just everything around you changing so incredibly rapidly you don't know what to do with yourself. It was perfect. And I don't care what any of you guys say, it is not possible for Ryan Dean West to not be funny. So yeah, it was funny, it just wasn't as funny as the first one. It's a great book. It is a great book. It's a great duology. Read it please, because it's amazing. I also own the number 9 book on this list, and that is The Shadows by J.R. Ward, which is the 12th or 13th book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I can't remember, but it's one of those. So yes, we have yet another one of my most anticipated reads of 2015, not letting me down in the slightest. This book was so fantastic. I can't even with how good this book was. We got to delve into the story of these two characters that at the beginning of this series were like pieces of cardboard. They had no personality, had no voice, nothing. And now these characters are so important to me, it's ridiculous. We got to delve into their story, and their story is so complex and fascinating and interesting. And oh, we got just the wonderful romance that everyone wants. We just got so many bits and pieces of awesomeness in here. The story is progressing so fantastically, and this book, she actually deviated from her normal formula of these books, and I applaud her. Like, you go, JR, you show everybody that not all paranormal romance books are formulaic and the same story over and over and over again. You can switch it up and it will hurt, but it's amazing. And just, yes, yes. I love this series. This is one of my all-time favorite series of just ever, and I loved this book. I loved this book so much. Book number 8 on this list is none other than Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins, which is the second book in the Anna, Lola, Isla companion series. Does that series like have a name? If it does, I don't know what it is, but guys, come on, it's Lola and the Boy Next Door. You know this book. I say that because literally, like everyone on BookTube has read these books except me. That's right. It took me until 2015 to pick up both Anna and Lola, and oh, just I am so mad at me. Like, I was sure I was not gonna like these books. I was so sure that these were gonna be too teen romancy for me, that I wasn't gonna be able to connect with them, that I wasn't going to like them. And oh man, I was wrong. I loved both of these books. I've only read the first 2. I haven't gotten around to Isla yet. I love both of these books, but I loved Lola. Shocker. I loved Lola more. I know that's not the usual. Usually people say that Anna was their favorite one, but for me, it was Lola. This book was so good. It was so great. The characters were relatable as hell. It was just so amazing. The story was so much fun. The romance hurt. It hurt. It was so good. And just, I loved this book. I could not put it down. I read this book in one sitting. It was so fantastic. I loved it so much. Just, I'm so mad it passed me for taking so long to pick up these books. Book number 7 on my list was yet another one of my 2015 most anticipated releases, and it was up there. It was one of the most anticipated releases, and it did not let me down in the slightest, not even a little bit. And it was Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, which is the second book in the Diviners series trilogy. I don't know how many books this series is gonna get, but oh my god, this book, guys. Yes. Okay, so I read the Diviners in 2014 and it blew my mind. It was so fantastic, so wonderful. I loved it so much. And guys, this book was even better. These books are so freaking atmospheric. You feel like you are in the 1920s, in New York, in whatever room or office or alley or just anywhere she puts you. You feel like you are actually physically there. There is so much diversity in these characters. It is ridiculous. And just the story is so complex and interesting and downright creepy. Like, these books scare the hell out of you at points. And it's just fantastic. But of course, my favorite part of this book was that we got to delve really deep into my favorite character in the entire series, Henry. Henry. I love Henri so much. We got to delve into his character so much in this book, and it was so fantastic and wonderful, and it ripped my heart out all at the same time, and it was so creepy and scary, and it was wonderful, and I love these books so much. Book number 6 on this list was, yet again, another one of my most anticipated releases of 2015. My most anticipated releases did not let me down this year, the ones that came out. This was an amazing book by one of my all-time favorite authors of all time. He is amazing, and that book is The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Mr. Amazing Patrick Ness. Okay, so Patrick Ness has this funny way of selling his books. By funny, I mean vague. Like, seriously, he tells you nothing about what his books are about. He gives you bare minimum, and you just have to just go based off whim from there. But I'm telling you, people, it works. I went into this book knowing little to nothing about it, and this book blew me away. And something I was not anticipating from this book was that it was hilarious. Like, I have learned to anticipate the deep emotional feels and just the great philosophies of how humans and our emotions work from Patrick Ness, because he understands human beings and the way that their brains work on a level that I cannot even begin to explain to you. But the funny, I was not expecting the funny. Oh my god, this book had me cracking up laughing. It was hilarious, fantastic, just, it blew my brains out. It blew my brains out. It was wonderful, amazing, just thank you, Patrick Ness, for existing and giving me these gifts that you call books. Ooh, and we're getting down to the nitty-gritty now. We're at number 5, and my number 5 book of this year is probably gonna be a little bit shocking, but oh well, and it is To Kill a Mockingbird by Miss Harper Lee. I know what you're thinking! Dis.cat! Didn't you have to read that in high school? To which I say, no, I didn't. I did not have to read this in school at all. I know, it's a travesty. Yeah, I didn't have to read this book in school, and just, I never got around to doing it on my own until finally this year. And oh my god. Why does every child in school not have to read this book? Like, seriously, people, why are they making children read The Old Man and the Sea when they could be reading this? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. This book is everything that everyone since the history of ever has ever said about it. This book is incredibly moving, incredibly impactful, just so freaking important. Like, this is an amazing book. There's a reason why it's a classic. There's a reason why they make you read it in school. And that's because it's gonna make you a better person. And also, added bonus, this is one of the easier classics I've ever had to read. It's just an incredibly moving story, and oh my god, people, make kids read this in school. If you are a teacher and you have any control over such things, make your kids read this in school. Number 4 on this list also carries over with the whole dis.cat, how did you not have to read that book in school thing, and that is SlaughterhouseFive by Kurt Vonnegut. Again, another book that I don't understand why we are wasting our time reading The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway when we can be reading this. Yes, this is yet again another book that I did not have to read for school, but my sister had to read it for school, and it's like her favorite book in the entire world, and I had just not gotten around to reading it, so I decided to do it this year. And this book seriously did change, like, my entire worldview. Like, seriously, it is months and months later since I have read this book, and I still lay awake at night thinking about the themes and the messages behind this book. This book was so moving. It was so impactful. Like, I swear to God, I am a different person having read this book. It's just so important, the messages in this book, and why children don't have to read it in school. I don't know. I really don't. But it was fantastic. It was just, I can't even word. Do you see me failing to word? Kurt Vonnegut is a gift to humankind. He was able to tackle such a huge and important and heartbreaking thing in such a stark and funny way, and it was just so fantastic. It was amazing. It changed me as a person. Coming in at number 3 on this list, we have what is now another one of my all-time favorite books. This book was so bae, I can't even. And that is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Guys, this book was ridiculous. This book was so fantastic because the characters were so fantastic. The characters were so relatable and so raw with their emotions and so beautifully flawed. It was insane. I ate this book up. Add in the fact that the actual writing style is also painfully beautiful, and the story is heartbreaking and just, it was so good! Coming in at number 2 is a book that so unfortunately I don't own. I checked this book out from the library and I was not expecting it to make it this high on the list, but it did. It so did. And oh, it was so very surprising. And that book is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Okay, so I am an English major. I have had to read the Iliad a ridiculous amount of times over the course of my school career. And every time I have read that story, I have just been like, ugh, my God, it is men being egotistical men. Why is this so important? Who cares? And then I read The Song of Achilles, and oh my God, it destroyed my heart. Like, my heart was literally in pieces. I was trying to glue them back together when I was done reading this book. This book means so much to me right now. It is one of my all-time favorite books now. It was phenomenal. It gave the story substance, is what it did. It made everything matter. And of course, the prose was incredibly beautiful. It broke my heart. It was so good, you guys. It was so good. I can't even with how good it was. And then finally we're here. It is the moment you've all been waiting for. We're here. My number 1 read of 2015 is The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Yeah, guys, I tried to narrow it down to just one book because I did read Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, and Queen of Shadows this year, but guys, I couldn't narrow it down between these two books because these two books, guys, this series is ridiculous. These books were so good. So good. I don't even know. I don't even know how to explain it to you. I tried to explain how good Queen of Shadows was. I did a review for Queen of Shadows. I will link that down in the doobly-doo. I tried, but I didn't do it any justice. These books are so fantastic. They're fast-paced. They're intricate. The characters are so kick-ass. It's not even funny. There's so much character development, and there's political intrigue, and there's magic, and it's just... oh, these books are so good, you guys. I don't even know how to handle it. I just don't. I really don't. I could fangirl about these books until the end times. It's just... I love these books. I love these books so freaking much. And that is it. Those are my top 15 books of 2015. I'm sure that this video is going to be unnecessarily long, and for that, I apologize, but I just have a lot of feels about these books that I read this year because they were so fantastic, and I am hoping that this year, 2016, is gonna be just as good. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite books of 2015 were, what you thought of my books from 2015. I want to know about all of that goodness down in the comments. Leave it for me, lovelies. I always answer back. As always, thanks you guys for watching. I will see you next time. And remember, books are the escape.